After the Blue Jays got swept by the Boston Red Sox at home, the Blue Jay fan base took their frustrations to the internet and they did not hold back. Many fans continued to blame Ross Atkins for putting this roster together, but most Blue Jay fans are in agreement. They want John Schneider fired, and they want him fired now. What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Blue Jays Today. In this one, we're going to be talking about John Schneider's performance as the manager of the Toronto Blue Jays, and if and when is he going to get fired, and what does that mean for this Blue Jays team moving forward. Before we get into it, guys, I encourage you to hit that like button and smash the subscribe button if you enjoy Blue Jays news and content. All right, guys, let's get into it. Before we jump to conclusions about John Schneider being fired, let's first take a look at how he's done as the Blue Jays manager so far. When he first took over for Charlie Montoyo back in 2022, he finished the season with a .622 winning percentage, which would make him over a full season a 100-win manager. However, his first full season with the Blue Jays wasn't as good, but was still good enough to go into the playoffs with a .549 winning percentage. But now, this season is a completely different story, and so far, he has a winning percentage of .473, which of course would not be a playoff team. It's undeniable that this Toronto Blue Jay team has gotten worse every single year under John Schneider. Now, is that completely John Schneider's fault? Not necessarily. I mean, John Schneider was provided 26 men to go out there and play, and the 26 men actually have to go out there and perform, which we could safely say at this point of the season, they have not performed good at all. So why is it that we're getting mad at John Schneider? Well, the thing is, John Schneider, when given these 26 guys, needs to be able to evaluate how they're performing and play the right guys accordingly. And coming into the season, we were relying on our core guys like George Springer and Bo Bichette, and they, quite frankly, have not been performing at all. And so fans began to beg for some sort of change in the roster. They wanted to call up the AAA Buffalo Boys sooner rather than later, and after 2.5 months, the Blue Jays finally did that, calling up Spencer Horwitz, calling up Orelvis Martinez, and calling up Addison Barger. And now that they're on the team, it is up to John Schneider whether or not to put these players in the lineup. And even though they have been performing so well as of late, John Schneider continues to rely in the veteran guys like Kevin Kiermaier and George Springer. In fact, John Schneider has not given up on George Springer, even though he possesses one of the worst OPSs in baseball. John Schneider says, "I am not nearly at the point of saying you're going to play 3 days a week. George is George. We have confidence he is going to get it going." Which, from a fan point of view, you could see how that comment is absolutely ludicrous. In the last 14 days, George Springer has a batting average of 128, an on-base of 209, a slugging of 154, and an OPS of 363. You might say he's giving George Springer time because he's owed $25 million, but at this point in the season, when it has become do or die, it is your job as the manager to make the tough decision to put George Springer on the bench, and he refuses to do that. In this Boston series, Ernie Clement has been on fire. Davis Schneider has been a staple of this lineup, and yet he puts him on the bench in a game that they must win to avoid the sweep. It's decisions like that that has made the Blue Jay fan base wanting him gone now. I put a poll out on our Twitter page, and in the first 2 hours, 70% of you said that you want John Schneider fired now, 11.3% said before the trade deadline, 10.4% said after the season, and 8.3% said never. It is clear that fans want somebody else in there making the lineup cards and making the bullpen decisions for the Toronto Blue Jays. So when is it going to happen? Well, Ross Atkins says that he's not considering making any managerial decisions anytime soon, and in fact, he said that John Schneider has been, quote, incredible. So if it's not going to be this season, then when is it going to happen? Time for a quick shout out to Betway. Betway is the best place to make all of your sports bets on all of your favorite teams. Betway is also in collaboration with iGaming Ontario. Must be 19 years older to participate. And guys, please bet responsibly. Now, back to the content. If I had to bet on it, it has to be after this season when inevitably the Blue Jays do not make the playoffs. If I'm an owner of this Blue Jays team, I can see the writing on the wall. I want my fans to come back, and they don't want to come back to watch a team managed by John Schneider. Now, is firing John Schneider the solution to change this team? Probably not. And look, I recognize that John Schneider is doing his best out there to put a winning team on the field, but unfortunately, it's just not working, and somebody has to pay the price. Ultimately, I think the problems going on with the Blue Jays are more than John Schneider. It's a roster thing, it's a player thing. Everything needs to go, and part of that is John Schneider. But you guys let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching, and as always guys, go Jays go.